Leinster will be hot favourites as the Sharks attempt to emulate the Bulls. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Leinster versus Sharks. It's at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin on Saturday the 6th of May. Kickoff is 6 p.m. BST. We'll start with the home team Leinster. Backs are Keenan, Larmour, Frawley, Natai, Carney, Harry Byrne and McGrath. Forwards Milne, Sheehan, Furlong, Baird, Jenkins, Deegan, Penny and Doris. On the bench, McKee, Porter, Healy, McCarthy, Conan, Gibson Park, Ross Byrne and Turner. The Sharks team then, in the backs, Fassi, Vertiger, Tapui, Mapimpi, Chamberlain, Williams. Forwards then, Nche, Mbanambi, Dutoy, Rowell, Grobler, Venter, James Venter that is, Chituka and Norsha. The backs then, Mbatha, Makunu, Sadie, Labushne, Buthelezi, Wright, Flyers, and Janse van Rensburg. Okay, so team news, starting with Leinster. So not a full strength team, but certainly stronger than most people expected this team to be. There's 9 changes from the starting 15 who beat Toulouse in the Heineken Cup semi-final. We have Kieran Frawley in at 13 as Gary Ringrose sits this one out. Dave Carney is on the left wing. Again, Jimmy O'Brien sits it out. Harry Byrne replaces his brother Ross at 10. Luke McGrath gets a start at 9. Michael Milne is in at loose head. We've got a whole new second row with Brian Baird and Jason Jenkins starting. Max Deegan and Scott Penny come into the back row. Then we have Andrew Porter, Jack Conan, Jameson Gibson Park and Ross Byrne all on the bench. They all started against Toulouse. Keane Healy is covering tight head on the bench rather than loose head as he did against Toulouse. And then Joe McCarthy and Liam Turner come into the match day 23 on the bench. For the Sharks then, we've got 4 changes from the side that drew with Munster. We have Fassi in at fullback, Poggeter on the right wing, Rowell into the second row, and then Labuschagne, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, so apologies. He drops down to the bench. James Bentner is in at 6 for Khaleesi, who sadly is out injured. Bota Chamberlain moves to 10 from fullback because Kieran Bosch also out injured. And then we have Mbatha and Flyers coming onto the bench. Evan Etzbeth is still unavailable due to injury. Now, head-to-heads this season, 2 teams met in round 4. Leinster won 54-34 in the RDS. Sharks did manage to score 5 tries, which not many teams do against a Leinster team, especially, one that has some of their internationals in it at least. Leinster, though, did score 8 tries. Halftime score was 21-20. Leinster just ahead. They did their usual thing, though, like Sharks are winning just coming up to half-time. Leinster scored, I think it was through Ringrose, about 3 minutes before half-time. Then they scored again, like 5 or 6 minutes into the second half, just to completely turn the game on its head. And from there, then just stretched away in the rest of the second half. In terms of stats for the season then, Leinster finished first, Sharks the 8th. The 8th seed, as it were. They finished 8th. Attack then, Leinster 580 points, Sharks 486. So almost 100 points difference between them. So, over 18 games, that's more than 5 points a game. So fairly significant there. Try score then 84-63. Offloads 149 to 146. So you can see Sharks really are an offloading team. Leinster, compared to the other strings after the bow, offloading game isn't that prominent. Defenders beaten then 333 for Leinster, 306 for Sharks. So you can see, compared to Leinster, who we know can pull teams apart. Sharks do offer something with ball in hand as well. Clean breaks, 118 for Leinster, 114 for Sharks. Again, showing that, Sharks on attack, I don't think will be found that much wanting in terms of at least making ground. Converting that, though, not as good as Leinster. You can see that tries per break. So Leinster score 0.71 tries per break, whereas Sharks score 0.55. So Leinster definitely with the better conversion rate there. Means the Sharks really are going to have to take their chances if they're going to have any chance of upsetting the favourites. Defence then, points conceded 363 for Leinster and 480 for the Sharks. Again, more than like 100-point swing there. So, you're talking between the teams, something like 15 points or so difference on average between their scores. Tries conceded 50 for Leinster, 61 for the Sharks. Tackles made 2836 for Leinster and 2153 for the Sharks. Leinster making more tackles. Sharks generally tend to try and hold on to the ball a lot. They may find that difficult against this Leinster side, though, but Leinster, we've seen them put in some massive defensive sets as well. They're not all about, imposing themselves on the opposition. One of their big strengths is being able to soak up pressure and deny the opposition points and then hit them after they've been able to clear. Tackle success, 90% for Leinster, 87% for the Sharks. 3% difference is actually fairly significant at this level. Sharks are going to have to be on it really against Leinster in this one. They're going to have to up that a little bit at least. Total tackles missed, 287 for Leinster, 280 for the Sharks. Leinster, missing more tackles, but their scramble defence is one of the best in the URC. And, Sharks, again, with that tries per break stat, if they get in behind, they're going to have to beat that Leinster scramble as well. Turnovers lost then, 219 for Leinster, 238 for the Sharks. So, you may see Leinster turning over at vital points during the game. Again, Sharks need to avoid that to really, keep themselves in with a chance to win. Total kicks then at goal, 97 each. Penalty scored, 10 for Leinster. Conversions, 63 for the Sharks. 27 penalties, 44 conversions. So you can see between the two teams, Sharks more likely to be the ones taking 3 points to try and keep the scoreboard ticking over. Leinster generally try to score in 5s and 7s, hence why they have more conversions scored. Then neither have scored a drop goal, but there's a vital point in the game where it's pretty close. We could actually see one of the two teams getting their first drop goal of the season to clinch the victory. Kicks from hand then, 439 for Leinster, 426 for the Sharks. So fairly close in that stat. You're talking about less than a kick a game between them. Kicks retained though, 89 for Leinster, 95 for Sharks. So it shows Sharks compete fairly well in the air. Going to expect them to try and put pressure on that Leinster back three and try to either retain the ball when they kick it or force Leinster into a mistake and knock on. That could give them the platform that they're looking for to get an attack. Kick meters then, 13,356 from Leinster, 11,771 for Sharks. So Leinster generally getting more meters out of their kicks, but they don't have Low for this one with his big boot, but still, some of the back three that they do have there are fairly competent kickers as well. Onto discipline then. Leinster have conceded 8 yellow cards this season. Sharks only 5. They've gotten 1 red card each as well. So if Sharks can keep that going as well, maybe keep 15 on the pitch for the whole game, again, it's another thing in their favour in terms of trying to cause that upset. Penalties conceded, 186 for Leinster, 206 for the Sharks. So fairly, close between that, less than a penalty a game between them. So again, Sharks still want to stay on the right side of the referee. Scrum offences, 52 from Leinster, 31 for the Sharks. So Sharks might feel that, that's an area where they possibly could get some penalties and again get that platform to get into that Leinster 22 and go for lineouts and mauls, etc. Lineout offences, 10 from Leinster, 12 for the Sharks. In terms of the lineout stats, then lineouts 1, 207 Leinster, 215 for the Sharks. So again, fairly close there. Lineouts lost, 39 for Leinster, 37 for the Sharks. Lineout success, 84% versus 85%. So fairly close, but again, it's small margins at this level. And, the steals, 19 for Leinster, 23 for the Sharks. So, both teams certainly will compete in the lineout when it is when it's on, really, probably within between the both 22s rather than kind of on their own line. And then scrums, 89 scrums won from Leinster and 95 for the Sharks. Leinster's scrum has gone at 90%, Sharks are at 93. Again, I think that Sharks may try and win some scrum penalties in this one to give them an easy into the Leinster 22. Scrum penalties 1, 18 for Leinster, 26 for the Sharks. So yeah, I think Sharks are probably going to try and use that as their platform, use their kicking game as well. But when they do spread it as well, they have some really exciting backs too. So, thinking of the likes of Ama Mapimpi there and also Fassi from fullback really will be threats that Leinster are going to have to keep an eye on. In terms of what the two camps have been saying, so Leo Cullen said, the Bulls game last year is definitely going to be on their mind. Not going to take their eye off the ball. Sharks are going to have a similar mindset to the Bulls. They're going to be full of steam ahead, especially with the added motivation of a possible Champions Cup spot. He also said it's important to give guys opportunities, and fresh players coming into the group will, really help them to kind of keep on track with the schedule that they have. And he also said that they need to be ready for the physical battle. From the Sharks, then Gerbrand Grobler, he's been saying like no one is basically giving them a chance, but he feels that's okay. They believe they can get the job done, even though no one else does. They've got nothing to lose. They're going to throw everything at Leinster, and anything can happen on the day. And he's right. Like it's one of the things I love about rugby is that before the game kicks off, people have opinions on who's going to win and who's going to lose in a game like this. Like 99 times out of 100, maybe everybody says Leinster's going to win and Leinster win, but tomorrow could be that one time in 100 that the Sharks actually pull it off and get the win. So yeah, he definitely has a point there. And he said himself as well that if they don't believe, then what's the point really in showing up? In terms of my opinion, then, as I said, of course, Leinster are going to be heavy favourites for this one. But the Bulls last year proved that it's possible to knock them over. From the point of view of the Sharks, then I think they've done really well to make the playoffs and fight their way, in there, because they had it looked like kind of around the turn of the year, and kind of around like the midpoint of the season, that they weren't going to make it, that there were too many teams above them, and it was a tough road to get there. But they put the work in, and they've improved as the season has gone on as well. And that's kind of exciting about this as well, is that most of the teams in the top 8 are actually in form, which isn't always the case. Like sometimes you get a team who like just completely fall, a team or two actually who fall down the rankings or aren't in the best of form. You might say that about the Bulls, but then the last 2 rounds they really kind of pick themselves up as well. So I'd say everyone is in like decent form and confident coming in to the knockout stages, and I think it's great to see. I've watched a lot more South African teams since I started up my channel at the beginning of the season, and I think I've got a better appreciation for the depth that they have in all 4 of the teams. But I think if we're talking about depth, like it's hard really to overlook Leinster. A lot of the players who are playing this game were part of the team that played most of the URC season, while the Ireland internationals are away for the November internationals and the Six Nations, etc. So they've shown that they can do it, and I think that the team that's been selected for this one is it's got a very similar composition to the team that played in round 4 when they beat the Sharks very early in the season. You had some of the internationals in there, but you also had a lot of the younger guys and the guys who've been there, like the likes of Ruddock and stuff were playing then, and Penny, like those kind of players who are in and around the squad for the whole year, and I think it's a decent team that they put out. They're not taking the Sharks lightly. They're obviously not putting out their best team, but they feel that they can do it. I have to say that I agree with them on that as well, but I fully expect the Sharks are going to make them work for it.